Welcome to Show Pop. Today, I'm covering episode 3 of HBO's I Love LA. In this episode, drama magnet Tallulah's fallout with Paulina ripples through the entire friend group, especially Maia, and exposes some really unhealthy dynamics along the way. This episode touches on people-pleasing, blurred boundaries, and emotional overfunctioning. We like to have a good time over here, so grab yourself a glass of wine, get comfortable, and let's get into the live recap. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Show Pop. So I am sitting here getting ready to watch episode 3 of I Love LA. I know it's been a long time and I feel bad about that, but you know the holidays always slow you down. So we are going to get started though on episode 3. I'm excited for it. And guess what? I am doing this on my brand new microphone. So I hope that the audio is going to be much better and that you guys will be able to enjoy the content much better. Let's get started. All right, let's do this. Okay, so in this first scene, Tallulah and Alani are sitting at I'm not sure whose house, and they are getting IVs. The last episode I was saying ended with Paulina. The last episode ended with Paulina getting ready to, spill the tea about Tallulah. So I guess they're just randomly getting IVs. It's very I don't know what generation this is. I'm assuming it's the generation right after millennials, and I should know this, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But whatever the generation that comes immediately after millennials, I believe that that's who they're trying to portray here, and that is something that is constantly being portrayed about that generation. So that was not a read. It's just, something that I've noticed in society that's being perpetuated, and it's also being perpetuated here. All right, let's keep going and see what else this scene has to give us. Okay, so continuing on with that first scene, Tallulah is on her phone and she gets a DM, I think it is, a direct message from a chef. And her and Alani are making plans to go to the chef's restaurant because it's a big chef. Alani knows who the chef is and knows that this chef is really popular at the moment. And her restaurant is really popular at the moment. So that's what they're making plans to do when Tallulah keeps getting notifications and she decides to open the notification that all these people keep sending to her. And it is Paulina spilling the tea, telling, the world that Tallulah stole her Balenciaga. And then that first scene wraps up with Tallulah like kind of freaking out. She jumps up and then the IV comes out of her arm. Oof, I just cannot stand listen. Stuff like that. I hate watching like blood and stuff. It's so nasty. But yes, so that's where we are. Let's see how this continues. Okay, so in this next quick scene, Maia is on the treadmill while she's talking on the phone with her parents, and she gets the notification about she gets the notification about Paulina and sees the video about Paulina spilling the tea about Tallulah stealing her Balenciaga. So she's freaking out. She's gathering all her things and getting ready to go. I just want to say something real quick right here. Didn't I tell you guys in the last recap, this is the prime example right here of how drama follows Tallulah. I told you that. I don't think it's malicious. I don't think she does it on purpose. I don't even think she thinks she's aware. It's just that she's a drama magnet. And because she's a drama magnet, she always has something going on. And here it is. Here's the next thing. And now all the fallout is happening. And we're watching it in this episode. Let's continue. Okay, I thought that scene was over, but it wasn't over. So Maya gets on the phone with, I think his name is Patrick. Oh my God, you guys, do not judge me. Yeah. I think his name is Patrick, the friend, okay, the male friend. But she gets on the phone with him and she asks him if he has heard or seen any of the about what's going on online with Tallulah. And he says, yes, he sees it. Everybody's talking about it. And the big thing here is that Tallulah has a pending Tresemme deal. And, you know, Tresemme is a huge brand. Okay. So Maya is concerned that if this gets out and everyone's talking about it and she gets negative press, then she will lose the brand deal with Tresemme. And if she loses the brand deal with Tresemme, that will be a problem for Alyssa 180 company, the company that she works for. So the thing that I find very interesting here is kind of learning the business of social media, because I think a lot of us regular people who work 9 to 5 jobs like me, and just work, you know, just regular working folks, we don't know how this really works. And so we're kind of getting an inside view a little bit of how this sort of thing works. That being said, as the scene moves through, Patrick, if that's his name, I don't think that's his name, but but we going to find out, okay? And I'm going to correct myself moving forward. The friend, the male friend, he actually is giving Maya he's trying to give her encouraging words like, look, don't worry about it. Nobody cares about reputations anymore. Look at me. I used to work for Mimi, I forget her name, the artist in the last episode. And he's like, and it's not an issue. And then he goes and embarrasses himself by going to the front of the coffee shop, because in this scene he is on the phone with Maya, but he is parking and then getting ready to go into a coffee shop, and it has a long line. So he cuts the line, goes straight to the front, and tries to order his coffee. But the barista on the other side, are you still called a barista when you are a male? Is it baristo, or if somebody let me know. But the gentleman behind the counter that is, going to take his order, it seems as though he may have normally would have done that for him, but because the friend had a uh falling out with Mimi, who is the musician, the young man who is the customer service barista or whatever you want to call it, he tells him, oh no, you can't cut the line, like you have to go to the back. And so Patrick's like, what's the problem? And then he's like, oh, like, then he's wearing like a Mimi Frost shirt, and he like, straightens his shirt up. And it is so funny. But it just goes to show, remember what I said in the last recap. I said, I think that I don't know if his name is Patrick, the friend, okay? I think that he's going to regret and have some ramifications for what happened with his employer, the artist, Mimi. And now we're starting to see those ramifications. The first one here is the coffee shop. I'm going to point them out as I notice them throughout the episode and throughout future episodes. All right, so let's keep going. Oh, and I guess the young man is the barista. That was who Patrick was sleeping with, I think, because he says at the end that he was sleeping with the young man or something like that. So anyway, just interesting. All right, let's keep going. All right, so in this next scene, first let me say the friend's name is Charlie. I was calling him Patrick, y'all. I am so sorry. I'm getting back into the show, so please bear with me, okay? really, I really feel bad about that. So, but the gentleman's name is Charlie. But in this next scene, so like I said in the beginning, I didn't know whose house Tallulah and Alani were at. So they're at Alani's house. Maia rushes in. That's where the setting is in this particular scene. Maia rushes into Alani's house and asks Alani how Tallulah is doing. Tallulah is hyperventilating, doing the most child. And Alani tells Maia that, she's not doing too good. And Maia gives uh Tallulah a vape. She was looking for her vape. She gives her a vape like the way you would give a child a pacifier. I just want to take note of that because that's really interesting. It just shows how pacifying some of these things are that we do when we're stressed, right? Whether it be alcohol, whether it be smoking cigarettes, vapes, or other things that I cannot say here. So it's just interesting. It just felt very pacifying. She's like, I got it. I got a backup vape for you. Anyway, Alani's high. She took an edible. She talks about how she tried to give Tallulah an edible to calm him down, but she took one. So Maia's trying to, calm the girls down because they're freaking out. And then Charlie walks in. Charlie tells the T about how, he can't jump the line anymore at the coffee shop, and everybody's freaking out. Okay. So they're just all freaking out. Charlie's freaking out in one corner. Tallulah's freaking out in another corner. And so Tallulah at this time, while Charlie is, talking about what he's been through, she's on the phone and she's watching what was her name again? Paulina. She's watching Paulina talk about her. She's getting ready to, curse her out. And Alani takes her phone and drops it in the vase, the water that holds the flowers on the table. You guys know how I feel about Alani. She gets on my nerves. Then she goes and sits on the floor in a meditative state and starts performing, doing her performative freaking earth girl, whatever you want to call that, spiritual whatever. It's performative for her because girl, you wasn't doing all that earlier. You know what I mean? I don't know. She just gets on my nerves. I don't like her character. So of course, Tallulah is freaking out. She's like, "Why did you drop my phone in the water?" And then Maya's like trying to console her. So, okay, let's see what else this is a kind of a long scene. So let's see what else this scene gives. Okay? Let's keep going. All right. So that scene ends with Maia telling everyone everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Tallulah's, tripping still. She's like, I have a date tomorrow. I'm not going to go on it. Alani brings up the date, and then Tallulah says, I'm not going to go on the date. Maya's like, no, act normal. Everything's cool. I am going to take care of it. So that scene ends with her calming everybody down and then walking out. When she walks out, she actually vomits a little. It's just sad because Maia, of course, she's saying this because she's her manager, right? But I also pick up something like outside of her being Tallulah's manager, it almost feels like she feels like she's emotionally responsible for Tallulah. It feels like she steps into like a motherly or a big sisterly role with Tallulah that she really doesn't need to. It doesn't feel like it's just about business. That's what I get from her. But of course, naturally, that's what she's saying because she is her manager at this point. So it's just sad to me. I feel sadness when I watch this scene because she's obviously overwhelmed and nervous about the consequences of what's going to happen and how this can affect her livelihood. Very obviously, because you don't get sick like that random unless you're really, really frightened, scared, nervous, I can, those types of feelings, right? So it shows that she's taking on more than she really should when it comes to Tallulah. And Tallulah is such a handful for her that it's starting to affect her health, it looks like. And that's something we want to note here. She has people pleasing qualities for sure when it comes to Tallulah. She's, complicit in her behavior. She supports it. In the last episode, we saw her pretty much disrespect and belittle her boyfriend and humiliate him just to help her friend. You know what I'm saying? So and now here it is. Now it's affecting you directly. It's not funny anymore. Now you're getting sick. Now it's playing. Now your money's going to be affected. Your job is at stake. I just find it interesting. I find it really interesting, but I feel sadness for her because it feels like she doesn't know what to do, but she put herself in this position when she decided she wanted to be Tallulah's manager again. I don't know why the hell she did that. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so this next scene is very interesting. Maya is now in a meeting with her boss, Alyssa, and a man named Victor, who is maybe like a PR crisis manager. Okay. They are discussing the Tallulah case. What I found very interesting in this scene is that Victor is kind of spelling out, how because both of the girls are crazy, both Paulina and Tallulah, it's all right. It's no big deal. Of course, Maia, because I just say she has like this motherly thing towards Tallulah, or this big sisterly thing. She immediately goes into, oh, well, Tallulah's not crazy. She's authentic, and she is, she's not perfect, but we should lean into it and all this bullcrap. Then Victor comes back with, it doesn't matter because they're both white. I'll say it again. He said, it doesn't matter because they're both white. Now, when I tell you that took Maya out, she was just confused looking at him and quiet, like, huh? And he was like, then that's when he goes into white on white crime is much easier to deal with. So it goes to show you on a public relations level, if this is true and if the script is trying to stay true to reality and realism. And I feel like this show is comedy, but it's leaning towards realism, right? Because these are things that absolutely happen, and personalities and people that absolutely behave this way. That goes to show you just how important race and maybe culture differences and maybe some other things go into playing, or how significant it is when it comes to public relations. So I found that very interesting. Okay. Let's continue with the scene because this scene is really, really rich, and I want to make sure that I give you guys everything. Okay. Let's keep going. Continuing on with that scene, Victor suggests that Tallulah give Paulina an apology. Maia comes back with, wouldn't an apology be admitting that Tallulah is a, Coco hoe? Okay. And pretty much, a thief and someone, all the things that Paulina was saying about her. Okay. And this is where Victor really checks her. And he pretty much tells her, listen, uh, I get it, but didn't you guys bring me in to save the Tresemme deal? And that's when Alyssa looks at him and is like, yes. He was like, so listen, Maia, you're going to need to listen to me if you want to get the right results, because this is what I do. And when I'm gone, you can go back to doing what it is that you're good at. I was like, ooh, And I, ooh. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? He has to, they all want that money. And it's going to feed all of them, including Maya. Then the part that really took me out, you guys, was when Alyssa actually at this meeting has to, and she does it in a very sweet, remember what I said about Alyssa, you guys? Remember what I said about Alyssa? She is comes off very sweet and understanding and down to earth, and you get that from her. Like, you would think that that's the kind of manager or boss that you would want, but she has a very backhanded way of doing things. Okay, now I think that this conversation that I'm about to tell you about should have happened should have happened just Alyssa and Maia. She shouldn't have did it in front of Victor, okay? So what Alyssa does in that moment after Victor finishes his spiel, pretty much putting Maia in her place and letting her know, if you want results, you're going to have to do what I tell you to do. And this is what we need to do. Tallulah needs to apologize. Okay? Alyssa goes and says to Maia, I understand that you want to help your girlfriend. I do. But you have to see her as a client. She's your client first. Alyssa's absolutely right. I completely agree with Alyssa. Okay. I feel like Maia in this moment and in this scene was overstepping her place. She was stepping into that big sister motherly role that I've been talking about this whole recap. Okay. I felt like it was too much. I I understand that she has to put her as a manager. If she's wearing her manager hat, she has to put her client first and she has to fight for her client. I do feel like she was doing that, but I don't feel like it was coming from a manager's place, if that makes sense. I don't feel like it was coming from a professional place. It didn't feel that way to me. It felt like it was coming from a sisterly place. And the reason why I say that is because she couldn't offer any concrete strategies like how Victor was offering for how to rebuttal this thing. She just kept saying, let's lean into Tallulah's this. And she's not perfect, but her fans would pick up on her inauthenticity or pick up that Tallulah's being fake if she gives the apology. That's not helpful, Maia. You're not offering any concrete strategies, and that's why I say it was coming from a motherly place. It was coming from a big sisterly place, and that's why they don't need to work together, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to see if this scene has anything else we can get from it. Let's keep going. That scene ends with Alyssa and Victor making the decision that Tallulah will have to post the apology tomorrow morning. Poor Maia. She kept a great face at the end, but and you know, she really kept her professionalism, which was beautiful, but I can see the defeat in her eyes. And I would feel defeated too, just based on how that meeting went. All right, so let's move on to the next scene. Okay, so in this next scene, Alani, Tallulah, and oh god, you guys, what is his name again? Charlie. So Alani, Charlie, and Tallulah are strategizing about going out. Tallulah doesn't want to go. Alani is convincing her that, you know, it's a good idea to be seen. And Charlie is telling her that it makes you look guilty. So both Charlie and Tallulah they're strategizing to be out for different reasons. Charlie, because of the fallout with his previous employer, and Tallulah because of the situation with Paulina. And that's pretty much it for that scene. Let's keep going. Okay, so in this next scene, It looks like Dylan is at an event for his job because he's like selling cookies at a stand, and Maya is there helping him. And Maya is telling him about everything that's going on at work with Tallulah and Alyssa and Victor. And Dylan is so sweet. That's one thing that we know, right? About, yeah, I mean, that we pretty much know about Dylan, right? Throughout the season, is that he's a very supportive boyfriend and very caring. And so he gives her some words of encouragement and just, lets her know that she's going to be capable of fixing it and it's going to all be fine. Okay. So he goes to go get more cookies or something like that. And then a fight breaks out amongst two girls about the age of, I would say, 10. And Maya runs over. She leaves her stand and runs over to the fight. And she suggests that the girls share the brownie. Well, I'm guessing this is one of the moms that Dylan was telling Maya to watch out for, that they were CUN, you know what? A very not nice word for women. So she stops them. I don't know if she was a teacher or if she was a mom, okay? But she stops them and she tells the girl who didn't get the brownie, looks her dead in her eye, and tells the little girl, "You lost. Maybe next time hold on a little tighter." And then looks at Maya as the little girl walks off, and she didn't take it hard. She just accepted it. And then tells Maya, "We don't teach them to share because that teaches people pleasing. And we don't want to raise another generation of people pleasers." I just find that funny because I've been calling Maya a people pleaser for the majority of this episode. So it's reinforcing what I was picking up on all along in the script and through the acting and through the episode, right? Now, do I think that that's the way of doing things? I'm not so sure if that's the best way to teach our kids. I mean, we do need to teach them, things that are collaborative. That's very seems like that's very competitive. What the teacher or mom is showing, that's neither here nor there. I just find it interesting that she pointed out people pleasing in that moment. And then Maya, apologizes and then she runs off. So that's the end of that scene. Let's keep going. Okay, so in this next scene, Charlie, Alani, and Tallulah are at the restaurant. I forget, I think her name starts with a T, the chef. I don't know if they said Tessa. I can't remember now, but they're at the restaurant of the chef that reached out to Tallulah. So they're sitting and they're ordering, and Tallulah's getting frustrated because there are some girls in the corner taking pictures of her. So she asked Alani to give her phone. And I'm talking about Alani's phone. She wants Alani's phone because she wants to see what the internet is saying about her. Because remember, Alani threw her phone in the vase, in the water. So Alani goes on her phone real quick. She looks. She gives Tallulah, some half-baked answer to try to get her off her back. Like, it's all right. They all love you. We're gonna eat. Don't worry about it. So that pretty much closes up that scene. Let's keep going. But I do want to say one thing. We are in an era and a time where your privacy is no longer respected. And I don't know when the paparazzi effect became like an everyday thing. And I'm grateful for the phones. It's always a good and a bad thing, right? That being said, we're now pointing cameras in everyone's faces. I've seen videos where people are pranking people in the grocery store and trying to get it on camera, stuff like that. There's no boundaries when it comes to this thing. And so when I think about what Tallulah is going through, with the girls videotaping her. It's just a violation of someone's autonomy, their right to want to be preserved in film form. You taking it away from them, and it's not fair. All right, I just want to say that. Let's keep going. Okay, so in this next scene, this is where we're going back to the bake sale that Maya's helping Dylan with. And Maia runs up to Dylan, lets him know that she's got to go. She's got to deal with this issue with Paulina and Tallulah. And he shows her a a picture that Paulina posted of him doing cocoa, aka nose candy, and then shows how people are turning it into a meme. Y'all, do you see what I'm talking about? When I said what I said in the last recap, when I was talking about how because Maia doesn't have a backbone and she's a people pleaser and she won't stand up to her friend, she has now not only had her boyfriend humiliated in his home, making a damn fool out of him behind this Tallulah issue with Paulina, now his job is on the line, okay? Because he's an educator. I'm guessing, I don't know. I thought he was a professor, like a college, but I think he actually works with children because these girls are young that we saw in the fight. So now he's being shown as a teacher all over the internet doing cocoa, you guys. Y'all. So just as Dylan and Maia are trying to come up with some type of strategy, Maia's over here like, oh, that's why I don't want her to apologize. I don't know if her Tallulah not apologizing is going to change anything. She is really stupid. She is really dumb. For real. For real. It's just, to me, it's like, girl, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Whether or not Tallulah apologizes or not is not going to change the fact that your man was doing cocoa for you to help you out, to help you out with your friend's issue. Now he's put his behind on the line. Dylan, you were done for that. Dylan, I understand that you were trying to be a good man, but you also have no backbone too when it comes to your woman, because you should have never, ever have let her put you in a position like that. Know what? So what? So what if Tallulah had ended up in jail and you didn't do the cocoa that night? You wouldn't have had this issue. Your woman and Tallulah would have had to figure it out. You should have never did that. Okay? And so now, as they're strategizing, the principal, you guys, the principal walks up and pulls out his phone and asks Dylan, "Are you Coke Larry?" And then after, you know what? I got to give it to Dylan in this scene though, because he said it with his chest and he did not lie, and he said, "Yes. Yes, I am." Dylan's a real one. Then the principal proceeds to blackmail him, pretty much going all around the fact that he wants Coco for a fishing trip he's having with some of his buddies. So now Dylan has to go and find Coco to give to the principal so the principal doesn't fire his behind. Dylan, you are letting Maia drag you in through the mud. Get away from her. Now I'm starting to see, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm starting to see there's toxicity in your relationship. And it was probably always there. And Tallulah just brought it out to the forefront because there's no way that you guys could have had a healthy relationship if this is how easily you get yourself caught up behind your woman and her bullcrap and whatever she's got going on with her friends or her job, which don't have nothing to do with you. Why did you do that? Now he has to go and find Coco. He has to go find drugs, y'all, to give his boss so he can keep his job. I'm done. I'm done. Let's move on to the next scene. I'm upset. I'm mad. Let's go. Let's move on. All right. So in this next scene, there we're back at the restaurant. Alani, Charlie, Tallulah. Okay. They're all at the restaurant. Tallulah is looking for a phone. So she tells her friend she wants to get up and use the bathroom. And she goes to the tablet that's where the restaurant uses to make reservations. And that's when the chef that she's been flirting with online or on social media, that's when she sees her and they decide to have a conversation. They start flirting. Tallulah, tells her, I dropped my phone in water, and the chef makes a joke about rice. And as they're bantering back and forth the chef says something about ketamine. First of all, how stupid are you, chef? Why would you say you're flirting with this girl and then you ask her if she does drugs? Why would you do that? You obviously have no game. You're really stupid. So I'm sorry. I'm a little harsh today, but you guys know how this show gets me going, because some of the stuff I'm just like, for real, when I'm looking at it from a human aspect, like, what would make you go and say that? Did you think, how is calling somebody a drug addict or alluding to the fact, and I don't even think ketamine is like a drug that's like a fun drug. Okay. So why would you do that? Why would you don't do that? That's not smart, girl. You didn't think that one through. You're successful, your restaurant's beautiful, but you didn't think that one through, boo. Okay. Of course it makes Tallulah upset, and Tallulah immediately, kind of like going back and forth with her, like, hey, what the heck? Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Did you hear about that online? Is that what you heard? And then that's when Maia walks in. Maia grabs Tallulah. She asked her to talk outside. Now, listen to this dumb Maia, okay? Because she's just dumb at this point. So we're just going to call her dummy. Dumb Maia, okay? She pulls Tallulah out, tells her that her job wants her to apologize. Tallulah says, I'm not doing that. And her only excuse is, I don't know, like, how do you say, I'm trying to not be ratchet. But the best way to describe it is she ain't no bitch. In other words, she ain't gonna bow down. She's not going to, um, she's not going to, apologize because she feels like she doesn't have to. So that's pretty much it. And then Maia's like, "Oh, I don't think you should either. Let's get this girl. Let's she's over. She's done. She's done. After you just left your man and you see that he has to go find Coco for his um boss because his job is on the line. He's online looking crazy, and you're worried about what? Going to prove to Paulina that she shouldn't play with you guys? Trying to get your one up on Paulina while your man is suffering and going through it because of your actions and your inability to place boundaries with your friend? Oh, okay. I see what time you on. I want Dylan to leave Maya. I'm gonna just say that. That's how I feel. I want him to leave Maya at this point. I don't feel she has his best interest at heart. Tallulah's gonna be Tallulah. Tallulah's single. Tallulah wants to be in that mess and be a drama magnet. She can, and Maya should let her do it all by herself. But since Maya obviously enjoys the drama too, Dylan should let them both have each other and go find him a woman who is going to treat him right. That's how I feel. So that scene ends with them, pretty much coming together to try to, make a coming to agreement that they are going to try to put Paulina in her place. Let's keep going. Okay, so in this next scene is really hilarious, okay? So they're back at Alani's house, it appears, and they're getting ready to do the apology video, but it looks like the scheme that Maya and Tallulah have set up to come at Paulina with the bull is that she's going to apologize, but she's going to apologize for everything that's wrong with Paulina. So as they're all chit-chatting, it comes out that Paulina is a her last name is Rikers. Her family owned Rikers Island at some point. Her, I don't know, somebody in her family, maybe her father is a war criminal, in other words, because they said that he had to leave the country because he was too good at business. So they're coming out with all these things, and it's beautiful. Well, not beautiful, but beautiful for them. And Charlie styles Tallulah with this shirt that looks like it cost $12 at Ross, but it's $500, and he put it on backwards, child. It was just funny to me. I was just like, they are too hype for this. And then Tallulah goes online and gives the apology, and they're all there supporting her and staying there. And Maya is elated. She's excited. She's the most hype one. I just think it's funny. I think it's real funny. Let's see. I think we have one more scene. So let's keep going. All right. So I was right. This is the last scene. And in the last scene, they are at a little outdoor restaurant, like a little coffee spot, really cute and intimate. And it's all four friends. It's Charlie, Tallulah, Alani, and Maya. And they are talking about how after Tallulah's apology, the internet is ripe with all the talk about Paulina, and they're giving, they're coming up with all the receipts about Paulina, and they're cracking up about that. That being said, Maya gets a text from her boss, Alyssa, and says that Tresemme is pulling out of the deal, which is unfortunate. And, she kind of has a look like a little bit of fear because she doesn't know what's going to happen. That being said, just as she receives that text, Tallulah announces that Balenciaga reached out to her and wants her address. So that might be an opportunity for Tallulah to make up for the one that she lost with Tresemme. So, that's just something we're seeing here. And that's pretty much the end of that scene. It just kind of ends with them all kind of having a conversation about things. In this episode, what really stood out to me was how much worse the relationship between Maya and Dylan is getting. Because what Dylan is having to experience because of Maya's choices is very serious. His job is now on the line, right? As far as Tallulah in this episode, I think we got to see her be a little bit more vulnerable because of what she was going through with Paulina. That was really taking a hard she was really taking that hard with how people were looking at her and how she was being talked about on the internet. And it showed her more human side, even though she was still a train wreck and throughout this episode, but it did show her more human side and her more vulnerable side, right? I think that is pretty much oh no. And also another thing that I noticed in this episode is that now we know for sure we can put a name to what Maia is. She is a people pleaser when it comes to Tallulah. And she takes on this big sister slash mother role when it comes to Tallulah, and she's blurring the lines between business and friendship. And that's probably why they end up falling out in the beginning of the season that we didn't really get to see, because the season starts off with them having not been friends. So that is probably why they fell out in the first place, because of this very thing. She's overstepping, she's trying to overcompensate, and she tries to do too much for Tallulah and doesn't allow Tallulah to take accountability for her actions and her behaviors, right? So that is what I'm noticing in this episode. I'm excited to continue to do more recaps on the future episodes, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the new audio, or that the audio is good with the new mic. Okay. And that sums up episode 3 of I Love LA. Episode 3 ultimately reveals people pleasing as the quiet villain of the story. Tallulah's attempt to manipulate the situation to keep Paulina calm backfires, creating a domino effect that forces Maia into crisis management mode. Maia takes on emotional responsibility for Tallulah at the expense of her job, her boundaries, and her relationship with Dylan, while Dylan's inability to set limits with Maia leaves him vulnerable to serious professional and legal consequences. Even as Tallulah shows moments of real vulnerability, the episode makes it clear: avoiding conflict does not mitigate damage. Episode 3 is less about drama for drama's sake and more about how unchecked people-pleasing turns personal problems into collective fallout. And that's all I have for episode 3 of HBO I Love LA. If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, what stood out to you in this episode? Let me know. Also, let me know what shows you'd like to see me cover in the future. In the meantime, enjoy the outro music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.